Welcome back to News Geelong. Did you know that the Great Aussie Utility, or Ute as we know it, and the Rotary Clothesline were both created in Geelong? Well, the National Trust Heritage Festival for 2012 is themed around amazing stories of innovation and invention. Meryl Friend has more.
We're here at Sailors Rest, and on the 18th of April it was World Heritage Day, and as part of all the celebrations there's a festival, and we were able to speak with Jennifer Banto from the National Trust.
A wonderful time of the year for the National Trust to focus on the community outreach is really the objective of the festival, and it's a chance for all the different groups, and there are so many, there are at least 30 groups in the Geelong region who are involved in the festival this year, and it's a chance for them to show what they do and to get new members, and for us all to realise how many people are involved in heritage and history.
And it's really become a very dynamic program since 2009.
That's right, yes. It started as a very small program, a single page, A4 page folded up with about 10 events, and then it grew to at least twice that size the following year. And then in 2011, the National Trust was so successful to make it a statewide event, and they involved a lot of other branches, and the branches represent the members of the National Trust. And then all the community groups as well, who are not necessarily members of the Trust but have the similar sorts of objectives and interests. I think one of the core aims of the festival initially is to bring people to attempt to conserve the character of their locality. So in Geelong, we would like to conserve the individual identity of the city heart, particularly, say, around the waterfront, where wool industry was such a major part of our origins and the prosperity of the city, and the beautiful wool stores provide the scale of the development along the waterfront. And each locality has its own character, and it's important to maintain that so that we don't all blend in and every town looks the same, because towns are different all over the state, and it's often because buildings are made of the materials that are in the ground under those towns, so that there's lovely Warrnambool sandstone, there's bluestone at Port Fairy, there's red bricks somewhere else, and Geelong's characteristic stone is the lovely stone that's quarried out near Ceres called Barrable stone, and some of our early buildings are made of that, so it's very, very important to save those.
From Sailors Rest, Meryl Friend, News Geelong.
Thank you, Meryl. The great Australian tradition on this day, Anzac Day, each year continues to be cherished, respected and maintained as our multicultural society proudly remembers the ultimate sacrifices that thousands of Australian military forces from each of the Army, Air Force and Navy services have made in all theatres of war. Beginning at 4:23 a.m. on this day at Gallipoli, where thousands of Australian young men travelled into uncharted territory against the entrenched armies of the Turks at Anzac Cove. In what was turned to be the war to end all wars, World War I fell in the years between 1915 to 1919. However, as we all now know, the world of war has continued to be part of our history, with the Second World War in 1939 to 45, the Forgotten War, Korea, from 1950 to 53, and that longest war that Australia has participated in its history, the Vietnam War, from 1962 to 1975. They are all continual reminders that the tradition of the Anzac spirit that began on that fateful morning in 1915 is still very much a part of our lucky country's ethic and ongoing history. Today we still see our valiant forces, both men and women, overseas in Afghanistan, Iraq, and also as peacemakers in such places as Timor-Leste. In the words of Lawrence Binion from the Ode to the Fallen, we will remember them, lest we forget. After this break, we'll return with sport and weather here in our midweek edition of News Geelong.